Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. I'm David Rothkopf, joined by Riley Fessler. How are you, Riley?
I'm good. How are you?
Was that a tough one for you? We could start with an easier question.
I had to think about it. I had to think how I'm doing. I had to look inside myself.
No, I like that. I don't like these people who give you these thoughtless answers. On the other hand, when you say "How are you?" do you really want to know? I mean, it's like,
not really.
like, how are you, Minna?
I'm happy now that I've seen Riley's panda mug.
Riley has a panda mug?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Riley, for those of you who are new to this show, Riley loves pandas.
I do.
And he when he moved to Washington from the wilderness of the Midwest, he said, I want to live near the pandas. So he lives near the zoo, and he goes to visit the pandas.
I do. I saw the pandas a couple weeks ago, and they were inside and they were sleeping, which I think is probably what they do 99% of the time.
Well, sometimes they slide down a snowy hill on their belly. I know, because TikTok says so.
I've yet to see that, if they have. So I would like proof of that.
They also zanily play with their keepers, like grabbing them on the leg and so forth.
They're cute little critters.
I've seen a lot of videos on TikTok of them falling off of stuff, which is pretty cute. They take big swings. They think they can, sit on a twig, little branch, just breaks immediately, fall down. It's
not
pretty
very
cute.
Smart animals when you really get right down to it.
No.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but if you get if you get chunky like that just off of eating eucalyptus leaves, that takes a lot of work. I don't think if you just ate eucalyptus leaves, you would not get into be a chunky animal.
No, I think I would pass away.
Exactly. And, koalas, they eat eucalyptus leaves too. And, they move very slowly because it doesn't provide them with a lot of energy.
Wait, pandas eat bamboo, not eucalyptus.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. You make a good point. They're like, vegetarians.
As the expert, I had to
correct
the record.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I feel humiliated. Let's change the subject. Tell me a story.
Speaking of humiliation, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed orders expanding exemptions to his new tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico.
Wait, is today a tariff day or no tariff day? Are we on or are we off?
I don't know. I have no idea.
And by the way, it goes hour to hour. Like tariffs, we're going to have strong. No, we're not. Well, we're going to have an exemption. No, we're not. Now today he's saying we're going to have large scale sanctions on Russia. And it's like, wait till somebody tells him. We already have large scale sanctions.
It's a game of tariffs chicken at this point.
Don't spoil it, David.
He doesn't know what's going on. What is going on? Can I just ask a question? I know every single person listening to this podcast did not vote for Trump. Because if you voted for this Trump, why you wouldn't even be able to tolerate this podcast. So let me ask a question. How stupid are they? I mean, I know we're supposed to get along. Can we all get along? We should love them. They're all God's children. Yeah, they're all God's children. But, God also made poisonous snakes. We don't have to embrace them and hold them close to our hearts. This is crazy. Every single day there is, abundant evidence produced that electing this guy again after what he did the last time was really dumb. Are they having a V8 moment? They're smacking their foreheads and they're going, oops, I got that. Sorry, Riley, I don't mean to interrupt. Every day I think this. It's like, what? Who would vote for? We did this. COVID. Remember COVID? Remember a million people.
Making the egg prices go down, David, except they're not.
Except they're not. And unemployment is up. And the recession market is down. And recession is coming. And we hate Russia, but maybe we'll put sanctions on them. And we hate Canada and Mexico, but maybe we'll take the sanctions off. And, RFK Jr. is going hiking in the mountains when all of a sudden, we've got people dying of measles in the United States. And the U.S. attorney for the Washington district is writing letters to Georgetown University Law School saying, if you teach DEI, we're going to investigate you. I mean, full on fascist crazy. And they said, let's vote for that guy.
I'll gladly vote for higher eggs if it means DEI is finally vanquished.
The higher eggs. Well, you vote. I mean,
that is a small price to pay for no DEI, David. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and some genius in the Trump administration yesterday said, "Hey, you know what we've got to do? We've just got to let avian flu run its course, and all the birds that get it will get it, and it was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? First of all the birds will die. Secondly, not only will the price of eggs go through the roof, the price of chickens will go through the roof. And on top of all of that, people are going to get this thing and die. And then we're going to have RFK Jr., Mr. Brainworm, sitting there going, no, let's not do any vaccines. Let's not stop this. How about some cod liver oil? How about, here, take some cod liver oil. Just move the tube down your throat for 1 second and I'll, it's like, what the I'm sorry, folks. It just, sometimes I think I'm living in an alternative reality and that Minna and Riley are part of the Matrix.
How'd you find out?
I would be a lot cooler if I was part of the Matrix.
I don't know. It takes a lot of creativity to invent a character like you. Who would even think of that?
Yeah, someone so handsome and smart.
Yeah, exactly, and panda loving. Anyway, go on with your story.
The exemptions apply to goods traded under the USMCA agreement, including items like TVs, avocados, and beef, while tariffs on potash were reduced from 25% to 10%.
That would be potash. Now that you corrected me. Damn. Now that you corrected me on the eucalyptus. Yeah, go on.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum expressed cautious optimism.
That would be Shanebaum, by the way. Yeah, go on.
Though Trudeau warned of an ongoing trade war.
That would be Trudeau. No. Go on.
While Shanebaum highlighted collaboration on issues like fentanyl and gun trafficking.
Yeah, well, that was, this was yesterday morning. He was like, well, I'm just going to let, Mexico slide on this stuff because I like Claudia. And then I wrote something like a tweet like, well, wait a second. We're letting Mexico slide and actually fentanyl comes across that border, but we're keeping the tariffs on Canada when no fentanyl effectively comes across that border. And that's our reason. But then in the afternoon, they were off the Canada thing because they did the others. I don't know. It's just impossible to make sense of it. But interestingly, one of the reasons that they got rid of the tariffs for an hour, a week, a month, or whatever, because they got no plan. They don't know what this is. Again, folks, do you remember the Muslim ban? And they were like, okay, we're going to ban all the Muslims. And then the court said, no, you can't do that. And then they said, okay, well, maybe we won't do it right now. Maybe we'll do it again later. And then somebody will look into it and then we'll come up with a new plan. And then it never happened. Remember Infrastructure Week? It never happened. Remember Trump trying to, lie about the numbers of COVID? Now they're going to lie about the numbers of the economy. There were like clues, like little clues, like you lived through 4 years. Did you learn from your experience? Oh, well, FAFO nation. Minna, what do you got?
China has vowed to resolutely counter U.S. pressure over the fentanyl issue, asserting that the U.S. must address the crisis itself and criticizing the imposition of additional tariffs. The Chinese foreign minister also emphasized China's role as a stable global power, calling for stronger representation of developing countries in global governance, and reiterating Beijing's strong, unwavering partnership with Russia amid the Ukraine conflict. Despite Western calls for China to use its influence over Russia to end the war, China has refrained from criticizing Moscow and continues to stress the importance of maintaining international peace and cooperation.
Yeah, look, China's playing this not only exactly right, but exactly as you would predict. First of all, they're saying, you want to get hard on us? We're going to get tough with you. They actually said, they actually tweeted out the words, you want to fight a trade war with us? Fine, we'll fight one with you. If you want to fight any other kind of war, fine, we'll fight that with you. Why? Because they know that Trump, who is a tin pot bully, will fold like a house of cards whenever he's confronted. Secondly, they know that Trump wants deals with China. He's trying to monetize. You don't monetize. You can't win in this world without trying to cut some kind of deal with China. But hidden in all of that Minna just rattled off with excellent pronunciation, by the way, Riley, she said the key thing, which is China now is positioning themselves as being the ones who are standing up for the international system, as being the ones who are representing the rest of countries in the international system. You know, their reference to developing countries? Well, we used to have relationships with those developing countries until we pulled the plug on AID and unleashed things, I don't know, like Ebola in those countries. You want to know something? There is an Ebola outbreak in Uganda. Want to know something? The United States used to provide the funding to help contain that outbreak. It's going to spread. Who's it going to be on? It's going to be on us. People are starving because they had food coming to them as part of U.S. programs. It's going to be on us. People had contracts with us, which we are trying to break. It is going to be on us. So not only are we losing influence, we're actually alienating people, and it's not happening in a void. It's not just America's down 3 points in international standing. China's stepping in. China's saying, okay, we're there for you. We're not going to judge you. We'll help you. We'll do something for you. We'll build a railroad. We'll help your country. And we're going to have a situation in which their standing in the world grows and ours goes down. And what's more, ours is not just going to go down because the policies of this administration are contrary to 80 years of U.S. foreign policy and contrary to U.S. national interests. Ours is going to go down because even after this administration leaves, nobody's going to know where America's going. What if Trump comes back? What if Trump 2.0 comes back? What if J.D. Vance comes back? What if Musk comes back? What if MAGA stays around? So long as MAGA is a force in American politics, other countries are going to go, I don't know if we can share our intelligence with them. I don't know if they can be a reliable ally. I don't know if they can be a reliable trading partner. So we're doing damage now, but we're doing damage for decades and decades. And of course, that's compounded by the fact that we're now planning to get rid of the core of our intelligence community. We're getting rid of, as another stage of what's about to happen is we're going to get rid of a bunch of our diplomats. We're going to get rid of a lot of the people who know how things work in the U.S. government. And that's going to produce a brain drain that is going to take years, decades to recover from. There are other things in this mix, and I don't mean to go on and on, but yesterday I saw a story, guys, which just like blew my mind. In fact, I immediately went off and, wrote to my nuclear expert friends who we had on the podcast, like John Wolfstall, and I said, what about this? Musk, the same guy who fired the people who took care of our nuclear weapons, they have decided to cancel the lease on the place where defense nuclear waste is kept. What? What are they doing? What are they doing? And of course, all of this comes at us so much. It's like standing in the middle of a hurricane and trying to look inside, every raindrop that blows by your face. And each one of those raindrops is some kind of disaster that's befalling the United States because of the bad policies, bad people, bad intentions, and ignorance of this administration. Okay, I'll try to contain myself. No, I will. I'll try. I'll try, Riley. Just say something, and I'll just say, oh, no biggie.
European Union leaders have approved a plan to spend over $680 billion on defense, including $160 billion in loans to strengthen the continent's security amid threats from Russia and Belarus. The funding will focus on air defense, drones, AI, and other priority areas with the goal of enhancing Europe's ability to protect itself and support Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky expressed gratitude for Europe's support, while EU leaders underscored that Ukraine's security is integral to Europe's own defense.
You know why it's integral? Because Ukraine's in Europe, and Ukraine should be in the EU. And actually, Ukraine should be in NATO. That won't happen under Trump. I hope it happens under the next president. Because Ukraine has always been the buffer between Russia and Europe. Ukraine has always been sought by the Russians so that they would gain more leverage over Europe, more entree into Europe. And that is exactly what is happening now, as it has happened throughout history. This stepping up of the Europeans is a good thing. But of course, they're not just defending themselves anymore against Russia and Belarus. They're defending themselves against the United States. And that is shameful. Shameful. after what has been the core of the core rationale underlying our foreign policy for the past 80 years. Minute.
President Trump held a cabinet meeting to clarify that Elon Musk's role is advisory, with cabinet secretaries retaining control over staffing and policy decisions. This follows controversy over Musk's mass firings of federal workers, which have sparked legal challenges and criticism. Trump's new guidance aims to limit Musk's influence, but ongoing lawsuits question whether Musk's actions violate constitutional limits on executive power.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of this because, first of all, Trump did this perhaps because there are lawsuits that are likely to target Musk as an unelected employee, as an unelected special advisor to the government. And so he can say, well, as you saw in this cabinet meeting, we have not Musk isn't in charge. He's just an advisor. You guys are in charge because you have constitutionally mandated, congressionally approved jobs. And I think this may have been a little bit of cleanup on aisle Trump from when on Tuesday, Trump pointed to Musk and said, he's in charge, which immediately is going to figure in a bunch of these lawsuits. But I also think that Trump sees that, Musk is causing some messiness, which is what he does. Did you see the beautiful pictures over the Gulf of Mexico last night or wherever it was of Starship blowing up? From an airliner, can you imagine you're in an airliner and you look out the window and there's a rocket ship blowing up into millions of pieces next to you? That must have been a pretty disturbing event. But look at Musk's record. He's literally blowing up SpaceX. He's blown up Tesla. Tesla's blow up, actually. He blew up Twitter. And a bunch of his efforts inside the United States government are blowing up. And so Trump is like trying to have it both ways on all of this. But then at the end of it all, he said, well, look, I want you guys to cut the people in your agency that have got to go. And if you don't, then Elon will do it. So, he has no message discipline. He's got no legal discipline. And the result is you get these kind of muddled meetings where it's really important that as you hear this stuff, you look at all the nuance within the story, because it's not usually what comes across in the top headline, even in, major newspapers or websites, et cetera. What's last? What's the last story?
The Defense Department is purging tens of thousands of images and posts related to DEI efforts, including historical milestones and commemorative content following an executive order by Donald Trump. A database obtained by the Associated Press reveals over 26,000 flagged items, with estimates suggesting up to 100,000 could be removed, including references to the Enola Gay, the Tuskegee Airmen, and the first women to pass Marine infantry training. The purge has caused confusion, with some content mistakenly flagged due to keywords like gay or unrelated terms, while other historically significant images remain under review, because nothing is more woke than the Enola Gay.
Well, obviously, early, there they were at the end of World War II, and they were trying to send a message, which is gay people are the bomb,
That's why there was a rainbow flag flying off the back of the Enola Gay when they dropped the bombs.
When they dropped, no, it was clearly an LGBTQ. In fact, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the entire crew of the Enola Gay, had an agenda here. By the way, what was one of the great stories in this? Because these people are so dumb. Part of it is it gets you angry, but some of what they do is so dumb. And Trump, do you remember when Trump said on Tuesday night that they were cutting funding for transgender mice?
Yeah.
I wish I could forget.
And it immediately called to mind a whole bunch of images, which are kind of hilarious. And but of course, there was no program on transgender mice. It
What?
was it was transgenic mice. In other words, they were using mice to test drugs that would later be tested on human beings. You know how long they've been doing it? Like 60 years. They've been doing this a long time. But some idiot, one of these 19-year-old Musk people went, oh, transgenic. That sounds like transgender. And didn't have the common sense not to realize that. And I learned this lesson early because when I was like 4 years old, in a story famous within my family, I woke up early one morning and I went into the kitchen and I said, I would like some chocolate pudding. There was a chocolate pudding mix in the kitchen. And I started reading the back of it and doing what it said on the instructions. But I did not know how to read very well. And so it got to a place where it said use an egg beater to stir it up, but I didn't know how to read the word beater because it had 2 vowels in it. So I just said, oh, an egg. So I'll just put an egg in it. And so then I took the pudding mix and I mixed it up with eggs. It was disgusting. It was truly disgusting. But I learned that sometimes you need to read like all the words, all the syllables to understand the meaning of what's going on. A lesson that apparently has been lost on the idiots. You know what another thing they did yesterday? I'll stop. But they put down, the president signed executive order targeting a single law firm. The law firm that helped Hillary Clinton with some things, the law firm that he accused of being behind the dossier that targeted him, and said, we're not going to let you in federal buildings if you work for this law firm. We're going to take away the security clearances of anybody who works in this law firm. We are not going to allow the federal government to do any work with this law firm. Why? Because they took a political stance in opposition to him. Hopefully today, tomorrow, the next day, you're going to see all the law firms in America speak out and say, you can't do this. In much the same way, and this is something people should go and read, the U.S. attorney for Washington targeted Georgetown Law School because it had DEI programs, said you will be investigated, and if you have DEI programs, we won't hire anybody. And the dean of Georgetown Law School came right back at him with a super strong letter saying, essentially, we're a Jesuit institution that believes in inquiry and academic freedom, and we are gonna defend academic freedom here, and you are not going to intimidate us. And it is really time. It's time for the academic institution leaders to stand up together as a group. It's time for law firms and so forth to stand. I mean, by the way, that executive order is completely illegal. It's unconstitutional. You can't deny people sweepingly the rights to do these various things simply because you don't agree with them politically. But they don't care because their whole approach is, well, look, we'll do everything we want. And if we get stopped by the courts or the stock market or something else, then we'll do something else. But we just want to stir shit up. And that's where we are. It's Friday. That's something you can think about all weekend long. We are in a moment of upheaval in which a bunch of nincompoops are, just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. But our job is to see what sticks and to report on it each and every day, which sounds a little disgusting, but we try to keep it light. And we are able to do so thanks to the talents of Minestein and Riley Fessler and everybody else here at the DSR Network. Listen to all our other podcasts. There were some good ones this week. And we'll be back with you on Monday, which gets us a little closer to the beginning of spring. But you know what happens this weekend, by the way? The best day of the year. The beginning of daylight savings time.
You're right.
We made it.
Yeah, we
survived the long winter.
We survived the long winter, and boy, what a winter it was, huh? Man, If you think of where we've been from November to now, but we're past it. The days are going to be longer. It's going to get warmer. And thanks to, Mother Nature, or as MAGA likes to refer to it, white Father Nature, we will have a summer. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.